Tonight's show, we're talking about unmasking God. And I'm answering all your questions with live readings coming up right now.
Does it look like a Devin or David?
David is his name. It's been so spot on.
And I don't know if you put it in the side of your end table or not. You still like to summon your end table that you this too.
My God, you're crazy.
Yeah.
You might be hard on your right knee when you're running. Make sure you're not too hard on the right knee.
100%.
Okay.
Honey, I'm a runway walker. Okay.
I don't know what she's showing me flowers. Like, relay them or redo them. These purple flowers.
Oh my God, Scott, the flowers are right there. My orchids are purple. They completely are dead.
Yeah.
Did you even know?
You nailed
100%.
everything, every single thing. Listen, everyone, this guy.
Tell me something that he told you that came true.
Everything he's predicted has come true.
I just don't see it.
Who doesn't have cancer?
It's very possible.
Camera's psychic who first questioned Brooke's cancer.
Scott Cruz.
Oh, there you
I know
are.
his
You
last
won.
You better question yourself. We're here to bring enlightenment, not confusion.
You might encounter negative aspects of self, but that's a freeing experience.
Because then they start realizing that they can't think outside the box. And I say, if you can't think outside the box, then who's the stupid one here? The solution for me is awakening people to the bull.
I agree.
People need to stop being deterred by nonsense. You gotta summon the people.
I don't just come on here and talk or parrot shit. I'm living it.
In harmony with nature, in a mystical adventure, we're building on the culture.
Happy Thursday night live, beautiful souls. Welcome to the Cruiseverse. How has your week been? It's been an interesting week, and it says it every week, interesting week. Well, we're going through clumps and phases of energy. So, of course, if we're having a phase, a 6 months phase, we're going to be saying week to week, it's been a weird week, it's been a weird week, it's been a weird week. So, especially if we're going through a weird era right now collectively. So it's going to be a weird week, weird month, weird 6 months. So we're here to help you through your navigation. We're here to help you navigate. So through the week to week, weird weeks over here. So let's get into it. Let's see who is actually Chatty Cathy in the room. I was like, do I have an intro before? I'm like, no, let's just get into this saying hello and let's get into the reads. Brenda's what? Good to see you. Our wonderful mod Nina is in the room. So $15 for a card pull, $20 for one question, $30 for two questions, $4 for a live video. The PayPal and Venmo links are in the description below. So any questions, our wonderful mod Nina will give you assistance. She'll help you out. Show you how to do it. But do it quickly because I'm going to shut down readings early tonight. I have things to take care of. So I won't be going long. And I mean it this time. I will not be going long. I say that and they go long. This time I won't be. So if you want to get your questions in, get them in now. Otherwise, I'll be closing probably in about a half hour. I'm going to shut them down. And those who are late, then next week. There's always next week, right? Alma Ford, good to see you. Jennifer and David Cruz, my mother and father is in his house. Rhonda, good to see you. Noelle Way, my sister from another mister. Hello, good to see you. Iggy, can't you see? Sky Daddy, let's unmask you. Exactly. What kind of mask is he wearing? You know, Lisa Cruz, sister from the same mister. Good to see you as well. Ketra's Oracle Magic Tarot. Good to see you. Darby Mabry, Caroline Catton, sorry for that. Good to see you. Rachie, hello, welcome aboard. Of course, I'm just seeing who's chatty cat in the room. Horse Trigger Hope, good to see you. Lucy, building on a culture, amen, hallelujah, hallelujah. Yes, we are. Abby Co, good to see you. Linda Jane. Has it been a minute? Oh my God, it's been a minute since I've caught a live. Super happy to see you, Scott. Like, oh, great to see you live. Yeah, has it been a minute? I don't know. I feel like I saw you yesterday, but again, my weeks have been blending in, so good to catch you live. Sydney Aaron, good to see you. My sister too, a lot of sisters. Christy, hello. Kate, yo, good to see you. Mama Cruz, lucky enough to have Albadarian conjunct her son. Bless B. Oh, interesting. Okay, interesting. Crazy for Coconuts, hello. Cuddle Wing Dragon, hello for you too as well. Anybody who's watching, welcome aboard. I cannot see, and those who are new, I will be starting with the collective read using tarot. I don't need tarot or oracle cards. I just use them for collective purposes because I'm a psychic medium. I can just tune in and channel too. But I use that for an assistance guide. And then we'll get into the topic, unmasking God. A very simple topic of what is God? What can we think of God to be? And so we'll get into that as well. So let's shuffle these cards and get things going here. I could tell I'm pacing my time. I said I'm going to end it early tonight, and I'm pacing it. I'm doing it. Because usually I'm like 10 minutes in starting collective read, and we're like, what? How many minutes in are we? I can't even see here. 5 minutes in. So, Ellie Taylor, good to see you. Better late than never. All right, just shuffling these cards over here. And then just flippity floppity. Flippity floppity, don't stoppity. All right? Don't you hate when I get a little cut on my finger and I'm trying to shuffle with these? So, okay. All right. And we'll see, because, I don't know if it's going to be a week read or just kind of a spare of the moment topic. We'll see what our guides need to. And I remember too, like Erica was saying, Scott, you need to, we miss your hats. So I'm going to start bringing back my hats. I know, got the hair thing going on, but this way I don't have to focus on like doing my hair. I get to throw on a hat. So we do have a new sound bath tonight with Lafayette. New sound bath, and we got a new message from Nina. Finally, Nina's back with a message later. So, okay. Oh, interesting. Who would have thought? Let's get the oracles. And I've got to pull them out here. It's live, guys. It's live. We gotta, make sure. Okay. So we got this. All right. Let me just do a couple oracles, and I'll get in, and we'll start this show. Okay. All right. Interesting. Okay. All right. I get the point here. We got this. Let's get to it. All right. In a couple seconds. All right. Okay. Sometimes we always say time management. Oh, but time management, better time management. I got to do more with my time, do better with my time. Well, we need to start talking about energy management, because at the same time, when we're, divulging and I would say interacting with things in our lives, and I like to say divulging, or, sometimes we get so gluttonous and we get so consumed with things, and whatever we're focusing on, we get very obsessed with it in a sense. That's the devil card, very kind of obsessive, addictive, compulsive energy, very dense energy. And a lot of times we think that we have to apply ourselves so much into things that we're being overly generous with our energy. That also is true with relationships too. I definitely want to say it's more so about relationships in this context, no matter what the relationship or the dynamic is. Okay, well, I'm just going to be patient. I'm still going to give them energy, still going to give them time. I'm going to consider what they're feeling, but what are you considering about your own feelings? And if no one's considering how you're feeling, then are you allowing the time and space and the energy management to understand that you also need consideration? So we have to understand whatever we are participating in our lives, whatever it may be, relationships, career, a hobby, right? Or an idea or studies. How are you managing your energy? Because we can't be one note all the time. And I always say, excitement is like our fuel. We're excited about something, then we can do something all night, right? Until we burn out. Until we're like, okay, now I need a break. Make sure we understand, even when it comes to things that are maybe not overtly exciting or things that you're just fully engaging in, when to take a step back, that you're not being overly generous with your energy and giving that away. And that sounds very simple, right? Don't give your energy away. But let's really talk about what giving your energy really means. Focus. How much focus are you giving? And my light just burned out. Let me just kind of replug this in here, guys. Give me a second. I love this. Okay. What does that mean? Focus. Because whatever you're giving so much of focus and attention to, that you're kind of you're adding that energetic watering, so to speak. If you imagine if you're watering your plant and you're pouring that water into the plant, and it's you're nurturing, it's growing, and it's saturating and soaping in and seeking into all the roots of the plant. Same thing, whatever you're focusing on, you're watering and nurturing whatever you're putting that focus on. So expect for that to grow. Right? Now, however, a lot of people say, oh, good, that's an excuse me to focus on the man that doesn't want me and the girl that doesn't want me. Because you give me an excuse to focus on them because they're not gross. Because if you understand the dynamic, if you're focusing on someone who doesn't want you, you're putting your energy into that constantly, and there's rejection, you're nurturing rejection. You're going to keep growing that rejection plant, so to speak. And so rejection will get louder and louder and louder until you grasp the idea, until you can fully see, oh my gosh, this is grown out of hand, right? So look at what you're focusing on, and as far as the circumstances that you are participating in and the energy surrounding such. Because now it's time, and I was always going to say now it's time, right? But now is the time more than ever, because things are moving forward. This May, June energy, it's moving forward, creating movement, that you want to make sure you're not participating in things or engaging in things or fully focusing on things that don't require so much of focus, right? And so this is why, a lot of times when I talk about the manifestation communities, people just focusing on what they want all the time. It's like, you don't have to practice desire. You already know you want something. So what do? Do you think by focusing on it's just going to come somehow magically, come out of the sky and manifest? No, you got to focus on how to behave, how to also get things into action. So when we understand how to energy manage ourselves and put energy management as a focus, let me understand, okay, I focus on affirmations, I focus on visualizations, I focus on attending to, the physical needs that I need to tend to, and I focus on taking the steps forward to new and changing my behavior to create new steps forward that bring me to a new paradigm. And a lot of this energy management means you might have to cut out some people. You might have to cut and disconnect for certain people that are not really benefiting you or not telling the same story, so to speak. And I'm not to say that you're supposed to just tell, because someone's on the same vibe that if they're pulling from you. If you feel drained around somebody, if you feel exhausted, if you're feeling like you're not really expanding around these people and they're not providing anything in return and you're not able to provide for them the same thing that you want in return, well, then it's time to start cutting those cords out, cutting those connections, and start managing your energy a lot better. And some relationships are simple relationships that maybe just connect every month or so, every year or so. I'm like, oh, that's just kind of someone from afar that I know I have a solid friendship with, but that's someone that will come in when I need it, but I don't need to overly nurture that. So when you put things in its place, then you know where you really need to focus and when. Because a lot of times, life is calling us to focus on certain things that require our attention to get what you want. Because you say you want something, so life's like, well, you got to focus on this unresolved karma. We got to focus on this unresolved relationship. We got to focus on your ignorance instead of ignoring, right? The ignorance of your financial well-being. We got to focus on changing your habits here, and life will force you to do so, but we're resistant because we're diving energy into the things that are just, giving us the immediate gratification. But it's not giving us any sort of direction. It's not lifting us from the circumstance and moving us forward. But life's like, we got to look at these things here. So then the financial aspects will dwindle. The relationship aspects will, of course, expand into more chaos. And your work life will become more exhausting, more stressful. These things will grow because, once more, even when you're resisting something, you're still giving attention to it. You're still feeding it. I don't want to do it. You're still giving energy to it. I don't want to do it. You're still nurturing it, right? So it's time for us to understand when we're even in the state of ignorance and we're ignoring things in that sense, what we're ignoring is also getting the attention unconsciously. And it's time for us to realize that we have a lot of, I see a lot of people have a lot of unconscious patterns on a loop. In their subconscious, they don't even realize, why am I so exhausted? I said, well, you have 3 streamlines of energy that are open on autopilot in a sense, in your subconscious that are going. And you don't even realize that for worry, that fear, that doubt, that deprivation is still going in a loop unconsciously. And that's why we have to look at energy management. If you want to visualize, you're just bubble of energy, right? I guess bubble is a good word. It's a very cliche term to use, like a bubble of light. But just think of a sphere of energy as yours, right? And you could project a line forward, like a laser beam forward into things that you'll start feeding connections to. Now, if you put a line forward into another person, another bubble, then there's a streamline of energy back and forth. And so if that energy pipeline is open to somebody else, but you're focusing on other things and you haven't fully disconnected from them and you're trying to move on from them, then you're still going to feel that energetic exchange. Both parties will. Right? Unless one of them truly severs a connection, consciously, which most people are not psychically in tune that way. So there's a lot of open connections you have to past relationships. You might even be over the person, but the circumstances are still connecting with that person, and you'll feel exhausted and drained energetically because you haven't severed those connections. You haven't closed down those energetic pipelines. So it's time to do those clearances. If you could imagine your energy as a sphere, ask yourself this: how many pipelines you have open and where are they going? And you'll definitely know how to tune into that. You'll be like, I have an energy that's kind of still attached to this person here. Pull it back. And, pulling back means that you're solving it. You're putting a resolution to the connection by saying, oh, that's the past. I'm not looking for that anymore. I don't need energy. I'm unplugging. That's how you unplug, is to actually create a solution for it and a conclusion to the circumstance, whatever it may be, or the open pipeline. Because, again, this is what also creates, unconscious psychic warfare. Where if you have a connection with somebody and it's not resolved, you're going to feel their anxiety. You're going to feel their energy, not know why. Right. And so then you're not going to be able to focus, or they keep coming up in your mind without realizing that. Right. So it's very important to understand this, because, there are a lot of things that are happening unconsciously that create anxiety, that create fear, right, that create freakouts and phobias that we talked about last week or yesterday, or last night actually on Leading Out Loud. And these things, with the Ten of Swords, it's like it's being defeated, right? A defeated energy. So, which means is these open pipelines, these open energetic, pipelines can actually cause a defeat. It can cause you to feel defeated, like you can't move forward, or lack of confidence. You forget who you are. And that's only because you're so scattered. You got so many open pipelines. You're blinded to the essence of what's before you. All these other filters too that you've placed upon yourself. Now it's time to start cleaning house energetically and start looking at energy management. Because this is where you reclaim your power. How funny is that? It's laying there. I didn't even see that. That's where you reclaim your power, and look what's underneath it. Discernment. You reclaim your power, and yes, that actually, you start having more discernment about things. You can read things clearer, right? And that's another thing too, is that, when you're trying to read something of the future, but you have these open pipelines, you're going to be getting energy thinking you're reading about something else, or you might read some other person, but it's actually, that's information coming from an open pipeline from somebody else, so it's confusing you, right? Or then you'll start taking those open connections from people and start seeing those attributes in everybody else, thinking it's everybody else, so it's going to be giving you so much confusion. So, a great thing to do in this case, right, is just, I always say, when you ask yourself questions, it's like a rabbit hole. Your soul will answer. Say, I'm so exhausted. What's exhausting me? Whatever comes to consciousness is the answer. And a lot of times it could be just one word. If it's nothing present, it could be, you could just hear the word past. What's exhausting me? And you hear past. Let's get this light on here. How's that lighting? And then you ask yourself, what from my past? Like, keep asking the questions. You'll hear Jerome. I don't know who Jerome is, but for an example. And you're like, Jerome is exhausting me, but I don't talk to him anymore. But then you start realizing, well, if I don't talk to him and he's exhausting me, then what are you still holding on to? What have you had that's unresolved? And resolve it. Resolve it in yourself, in your mind, in your psyche, in your consciousness. And that's very, very important, because, this is what, also with the, Eight of Swords, this is all about feeling trapped, right? So if a lot of you guys just feel trapped in your circumstances, many of you are feeling trapped in your circumstances, and it has nothing to do with your circumstances whatsoever. It's because you don't have clarity. And I was actually talking to a wonderful client, this morning, which kind of goes in alignment to this. And she had completed a karmic cycle. She completed her karma. But now she's like, uncomfortable because she doesn't feel scattered because her direction next, because she's wrapped up karma, so things are open. She's got to kind of listen to herself, but she still had trepidation, and I was sensing she still had the residue left from her karma that she was resolved. So you can resolve your karma, solidify things, but there's sometimes residual energy that just needs to be cleaned up, just like energy is out of balance. And that's where a healer would work. And I recommended acupuncture to her because I feel like acupuncture would be a great way to, clear the energy, flow within herself. And so, and she's like, that's funny. My guides told me the same thing. And so it's like, follow those impulses. Because sometimes you have made resolve things and cut things off, but there's just that residual energy left over. Like I like to call a Febreze watered down fart. Right? Someone farts, you put Febreze, it just smells like a Febreze watered down fart, right? It still lingers. So you want to say, yeah, I resolve these things, but let me clear out the lingering energy from that. Whatever's lingering around, it could be like you just, you have a hang up now because of it, or you're a little jaded because of that. You haven't ignited and opened the door to what's new, what's next, what's really fresh in a sense, right? Which means is what you deserve better now. And, spirituality is just about upgrading, always expanding and evolving. So your question should always be, am I evolving? Am I expanding from that? Or am I expanding from this at all? That should be your question. Because if you ask yourself that question, you might even say, not really, or kinda, right? Like I'm kind of doing it. It's like, that means you're not done. Until you can affirm and say, well, yes, of course I'm done with that. Then but if you ask yourself the question, have I evolved from that? Have I upgraded from this? Be honest. You might hear, kinda, not really. That's the things that need to be cleaned up. Those are the things that you need to start kind of nurturing and I like to say recalibrating. I hate saying I got to work on myself. I hate hearing that because you're not a project. You're not a tool, right? You don't need to work on yourself. Grow. Stop preventing yourself from growing. There doesn't need to be any work done. It's all about realization. Don't turn yourself into a project. You need to nurture yourself. You are all that you have, right? You are the being and the creator of this world. So therefore, of your own reality of this world. So you need to have that importance of understanding that you need to take care of yourself. That should be a given. Right? Not like, oh, let me work on it. Well, if you're not working on you in a sense, let's use the terminology of work. If you're not putting the work into yourself, where else are you putting it? And how else do you think you're going to evolve if you're not putting the work into yourself? And I'll use that terminology because I don't like the word work. And I want to use the word, like I said in the beginning, focus. Ask yourself, with this ball of energy that you possess, how much time and energy are you putting into focusing on that? On what your energy possesses, of what your energy deserves, and what your energy should be putting out or not be putting out. How much focus you're really putting on to your own well-being versus having to run around for everybody else. As simple as that is. But clearly people have a difficult time with this. Or people disassociate or misread or they define incorrectly the fact that they think they're doing something for themselves, but they're not, right? And they're doing something that's not really fulfilling for them. They think it is. Like it could be something very vapid, or something that's like, distracting. Well, I have to go out there and date, so I'm gonna go out there on those dating apps. I'm gonna do that for myself. It's like, how about you find something enjoyable to participate in and meet new people, and then you'll find someone to meet. So we have to ask ourselves, what am I focusing on? Is what I'm focusing on rendering any type of movement? Do I feel any type of movement? Can I foresee that it will provide movement for me? Or is it just one of these kind of trapped, stuck in a hole type of situation? And so that's to me where I think that we need to start really focusing on, and that should not be work. That is actually breathing. We're always walking around like this in an inhale. No, I got to get all these things done, and he doesn't want me. What do I do? And I don't know what to do next. And we got to start learning how to exhale. We got to learn the flow. Inhale, exhale. Right? We express. We create. We express. We feel. We express. We look in intuitively, like we use our intuitive perspective. We express, and we also allow ourselves to nurture the self. There's a flow to this, and so many people are moving and like chickens with their heads cut off. Just like they don't know where they're going, just like throwing pasta at a wall and see what'll stick, and they're just like putting their heads in all these different things, like these chickens. And it's like there's no direction with that. Just doing something for the sake of doing something doesn't render results. Consistency is key. So when you latch on to the idea that resonates with you and your direction, and you're consistent, That's what manifestation really is, actually. And I read something recently too, like a quote, and it says, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter how talented you are or not. It doesn't matter how skillful you are or not. If you're consistent and keep doing the same thing over and over again, it will matter. It will grow. It will grow. If you keep building something, it will grow, whether you're talented or not. That's why you see so many singers and so many people who are in entertainment. They're not really that talented, but somehow they got it because they were determined. They kept pushing. They kept doing it. They kept growing it, expanding it. And same thing with those people who are very successful and the billionaires. They're not very bright. I think they say the people that run this world and are actually, they're no smarter than a high school education. But they had tenacity to keep going. And I mean, that is the point. So you got to ask yourselves, you got to find the consistency of focus and what is worth putting your energy into and being consistent with what you know is going to grow for you. And that's what will render the results in your life. That is success, that's happiness, fulfillment, right? And not everything is going to be hunky-dory, right? Sometimes you'll have to fix yourself. Sometimes life will present you that relationship you want, but you'll have to fix yourself in it because you're not actually the person that you say that you want to mingle with or you want to connect with. You're actually the opposite of that. So you got to fix yourself to be able to latch on to what that connection really is that you say that you want. Because it's easy to want something, but majority of people in this world have a difficult expressing that they say that they want. Yeah, I want this. I just dream. I just want that great relationship. But these people who are not manifesting or connecting with great relationships are horrible people, some of them. They take take people. They're shallow, right? They don't call people back. They don't respect people. But yet they want to manifest this wonderful relationship when they don't possess the qualities to even be a part of one. So if you push for it, life will teach you. Life will show you, you need to work on this in order to get what you say you want, right? So when we're clear, and we understand how we're exporting our energy, and we do that energy management that way, and we resolve things, we close down pipelines and connections, and we're clear, we'll know and we'll learn for ourselves, and we'll evolve naturally to actually find and match with the things that we say that we want. We'll understand the things I'm wanting is who I am. That relationship I'm wanting is actually, that's the energy I'm expressing. That's me. And now I'm expressing it. Now it happens. So that's the point of being conscious. So, again, forget about time management in a sense. Put energy management first, and then you'll know what to designate and to put your time into and what not to put your time into, and make things a lot easier for you. Okay, let's. I think that's it for that. Yeah, I'm just gonna do a couple oracles, but I think it's it for that message. Let's hop into the topic, which I'm gonna make short too. I like that this came out. Beginnings and pleasure. Beginning and pleasure. So to conclude this, do y'all even know what pleasure is? Do y'all know what pleasure is? Because a lot of guys define pleasure as immediate gratification, right? And therefore that keeps you looped of needing more of it. But is that really pleasure? Because pleasure doesn't come from what you're receiving. Pleasure comes from how you're being. A state of being. To be free, to be enjoyment of things around you without reservation, that's pleasure. To be able to express your voice, to express your sexuality, your sensuality, your intimacy, that's pleasure. You're expressing, you're projecting, you're being. That's pleasure. But pleasure isn't what you're consuming, isn't what you're getting. And that's where people fall down this trap of depression, because then they get, and then boom, they crash because none of the things that they've gotten, they run out of things to get, that they just collapse. And they're then forced to go back to square one of focusing on what are they trying to express. So pleasure comes from a state of being, and again, enjoyment of where you're at, what you're doing at any moment in time. Pleasure is accessible to you if you care to look at things in that way. And that's what we talk about being present. That's what we mean by being present too, is like you're actually looking at what's before you and putting love into it, putting focus into what you're doing currently, navigating wisely, not like kind of phoning things in because you're just like, where's my boyfriend? Where's my girlfriend? No one wants me. Where's my money? You're not doing that. Therefore, phoning everything else in, which you're like actually not leading yourself anywhere. Just like, why don't I have it? That's not pleasure. And if you were to get those things in that state, they wouldn't be pleasurable. You're like, but they're not doing this enough for me. I'm just not attracted. I don't know why. It's not enough money for me. It won't be enough for you. You'll just be a whining little crybaby about things, annoying to where no one then wants to be around you because you're just like whining about everything about like how life is like, serving you crap and how you're a victim to your circumstances. Life is going to be, people just be like, oh, this person, like, I'm over the energy. It's so negative, right? So don't do that. Participate in what's before you. That leads you to where you want to be because you'll be focused on actually engaging with life and being conscious enough to make decisions about where you really want to go next. That's how you navigate. You can't navigate putting your heads in clouds and try to like bypass things. That's not how life works. Right? So it's time now, to look at these things and ask yourself, what does pleasure really mean for you? Because at the end of the day, and I'm a broken record with this about you only want something because how you think it's going to make you feel, right? So let's start focusing on the feeling of how you think you're going to be if you have those things. Let's focus on that essence of starting to express those things now. Because most people put in the cart before the horse. Well, when I get that, I'll feel that. It's like, nope. You feel it first, then it comes into your experience. That is how reality works. And you're not here to make a wish. We're not here to with the praying hands and just, I'm wishing for this, I'm wishing for that. That is not the point of breathing life. You got to participate. You got to express. And so let's go back and say the pleasures that I want, it should be about how I'm acting, the person I am becoming, the person I'm expressing. Because no matter what, you can bring that anywhere with you and find pleasures everywhere. And then you'll attract the finer things and the finer things. And that, again, because you put your focus there, will grow. Okay? So now many guys don't do this or feel like you need things because you feel like you're going to be judged or you feel judgment. I don't have these things, so there's something wrong with me. So there's that judgment. And where does that come from? The false interpretation of what God is. Everyone thinks in religion, and a lot of people, let's say everyone, let me rewind that. Most people believe, especially in religion, that God is this judgmental creature. This consciousness is being in the clouds, this judging people for how they live or do not live their lives. And let's think about that for a moment, because if God didn't like something and God is that powerful, couldn't God just eradicate it? Could God just pluck it out of existence? I don't like that. Pluck it out. That's perfect to do it. Pluck it out. Wouldn't that be the case? Otherwise, why would there be God saying, I don't like this, but I'm going to let you go figure that out, and if you fail, I'm going to punish you just because you didn't do what I think that you should be doing? Isn't that more like a human characteristic, a very narcissistic human characteristic? You don't know me, and you have to come and find me, but when you find me, worship me, and then don't express what you want to express, is you have to follow my commandments, in a sense. Do you really think that is a God energy, or is that a narcissistic, man-created image of God? Because God is omnipresent. Things exist because they need to exist. The question is, why do things need to exist? Why do all the things we define and we deem as bad, why do they exist then? If God exists, why do these negative things exist? And if God is trying to save us from this evil devil energy, why can't God just defeat the devil? And if the devil is equal energy to God, then that really isn't God then, right? If there's an equal parallel energy. There's no God, overarching God then, right? So the idea does not make sense. It's a human-created, judgmental-created idea to just keep people in order. To keep people enslaved to looking up and not looking within. To keep people in, I would say, a sense of morale. So then people feel like, I feel like it's a way to control people, religion necessarily. So people have a standard of what morality is, which I don't think that is bad necessarily, but people have taken it so far as if it's like the law, the rule of the world. It's a guide. You see, because God exists in everything. The Lost Scrolls of Jesus, Yeshua. I have to say Jesus because people don't even know who Yeshua is. People claim to know Jesus, but they don't understand. Well, who's Yeshua? That's Jesus. And if you don't even know who Yeshua is and you claim to be a follower of Jesus, you're not. But, the Lost Scrolls of Yeshua, says that God is everywhere, embedded in everything. In the contrast, in the yin and the yang, in the good, what we define good and bad. But from God's perspective, there's no such thing as good and bad. From God's perspective, there's no such thing as good or evil. It's expressions and different perspectives that are all valid, because in order to have eternal life and think to be an infinite loop of creation, there needs to be, everything needs to exist but non-existence. So the vast nature and spectrum of perspective need to be expressed. And creation, now I believe, God is kind of like made of everything. So, if you think of like one particle, kind of, moving at infinite speeds, right, all over the place. And so it's what one particle is kind of like experiencing itself at infinite speeds. And then we have that big bang of creation to where life kind of like explodes. And so that one particle is experiencing itself at infinite speeds. And so we're all part of that energy. We're part of that God particle. We are that God particle. So judgment is a human condition. It's not a God condition. It's a human condition. It's a manufactured, human, man-made idea is judgment. You see, because spiritually, God needs for every part of existence to expand. And that God energy also needs for us to express ourselves so that God knows more of itself as well through our experiences, through the yin to the yang. You see, because when our soul expands, so does the Almighty continue to expand. It's a continuous essence of expansion. And we do so by density. We do so by polarity. We do so by the physical earth that we're in, world we're in. And look at this. Did I move my camera? Because it's like my green screen is all oof, it's gonna follow me. How long was that like that? Was that like that for a while? I hope not. That's just bad. But we need to experience ourselves. The more we experience life and through different challenges, different layers of limitations, we evolve, we expand, right? Our soul expands. So does God energy. So God is a part in viewing through all of us, as experiencing and understanding through all of us, through the good, the bad, the good and the evil and so forth. It's learning more of itself and learning more how to expand, how to become more through such. So through your error, you expand, you learn. That is the point. So the God energy is participating in all of that. And we all have that, because we are all that God particle, we can utilize that powerful energy to maneuver, to alter, of wisdom, because we're all connected to that God energy of infinite wisdom we have access to. We have access to that infinite energy, the infinite wisdom, the infinite intelligence. We have access to that. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to get all that in one incarnation, but we can pull from it that's relevant for our current incarnation and get that information. And you will feel there's no judgment. And through every walk of life, everything looks different from a different perspective. Right? And I always use this analogy too with karma. If you're wondering why is that child being abused? It's so bad. Why does God allow that? It's like, well, what if I told you that child that's being abused was Hitler reincarnated? You'd be like, oh, okay, well, good. See how the tone change when you understand the premise of something, the reasoning for something? Then you don't feel so, oh, like, oh, well, good, that's his karma. He needs to get his karma. Y'all get all like that. I've seen many people get like that. So you don't understand when you look at the evil in this world, what people are doing and learning and how they're evolving their own spiritual essence and understanding. You don't know the story behind that. That's why it's important to focus on your own story, expand your own voice, your own connection through source, through God energy, and allow yourself to expand more of that. And because when you do so, you become more objective and you start seeing those things because you're connected to the God energy that's connected with those lifetimes as well. You don't see a battle. You just see an evolution in different formats, collectively, individually. That's God. God is not this man in the sky that's judging you. There's no heaven, hell. Heaven is where you're free from the limitation. Hell is when you're stuck in the bondage. So when you participate in things that are against your natural order, you will be in hell. That's a hell. You're disconnected from your God source energy. You've denied it. That's what sin really is. And so when you allow yourself to see things in that way and take your own journey personal, no one else can tell you what your journey is because they're not living it. They didn't come for your previous incarnations. You did. Nor can you tell somebody else how to participate in their life and their expressions. I think it's supposed to be like that. Okay. I hope that was like off balance so long. Okay, if it comes, it wasn't the whole time, hopefully not, but hopefully Nina will have to cut me up. Cut it up when anyways. So when we think of it in this way, in this context, I think that you understand that there is no limitation to what you need to express or experience. Dive in, because you do have that God intellect, that access to that infinite intelligence to maneuver, to express, and to expand. It's not a God of the sky. It's not a judgmental God of creation. It's God that is participating in each and every one of us, one of our evolution, each one of our growths that we have right now. And, because we are all that God particle, experience itself at infinite speeds. If you judge yourself, you're judging God. If you judge others, you're judging yourself. If you say that shouldn't exist, then you're basically saying that that's a portion of God that shouldn't exist. Who are you to say that? So let's not being ego. Let's understand, be objective. Okay. All right. Let's get to these reads. I want to keep that simple because I just feel like people need to understand that, God is not that complicated. God is complex. God is also, I believe God is what gives us conscience, right? So each one has conscience somewhere on the line, right? Some people don't listen to their conscience. But some people have a very negative conscience, which can lead them to say, I'm doing this in the name of God. They kind of are. Because there needs to be that yin to the yang, a duality. There needs to be that kind of villain victor energy in this world, in this, physical world game that we're playing. So, but if you really want to understand what God's message, God's voice is, it's your intuition. It's your discernment. That's connected to the God energy. That's your guidance. So practice your discernment, practice your intuition. That is your message. That is your guidance from God, your conscience, right? That is your life link to God's communication about where you need to be directing yourself. That's your companion. Don't abandon that. And God is as a companion to everyone in different formats. There is not one size fits all. And when religion tries to pretend like it's a one size fits all, that's bullshit. That's man-made. There's no even logic to that. Really, if you think about it in the scheme of existence, it doesn't really quite make sense. Especially those Christians that believe that, you have 80, 90 years of life to determine where you're going to go for all eternity. Does that make sense? That's a shit end of the stick. Oh, well, you didn't get that 80 years of life, so you're going to burn for all eternity. Does that make sense? It doesn't. It's a mind control. Don't let these ideas and these religions and these, beliefs and so forth that have been instilled upon us let you deter yourself from your actual pipeline, your actual connection to the God energy. Like I said before, why only certain people are able to channel Yeshua or channel the God energy? Only certain people? We can't? Bullshit. We all have that ability. We're all part of that God energy. We all are that God particle. So we should utilize our own perspective and voice on how to navigate for our own individual life so we can see things in totality. And that's God. God is totality. Everything in total is God. Everywhere. That's why you say omnipresent. He's everywhere at once. What does that mean? He's only with people who are love and light and positive and we're praying in Jesus. He's only there. He's not over here where there's all the destruction too. Like he's not over there either. Just over here. That's not omnipresent. Reconfigure, re-intellectualize the idea of God is and make it reasonable, not some fairy tale that's similar to, Christmas. You're good, you get presents. You're bad, you go to hell. So we say God is within you is because you are made of the God particle. Understand your expression is your destiny. What you're experiencing is part of the process. Okay, all right, let's get into these live readings because I need to make it short tonight. And before we do so, we have a wonderful message from Nina.
Thursday crew, what is up? I've missed y'all. So let's do a channel message. When I was tapping in earlier, I kept getting this energy around embracing and accepting your divinity, accepting how large you are, how expansive you are, and how big you can be. There's almost this energy I felt of like hyperfixation on the result. Spirit saying let go of that and really allow your fullest expression to come through. And this really does look like tapping into more sacral energy, more creative, fluid energy right now, and trusting that all the things that your higher self has set up for you is coming to fruition. It's just 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. Those are the angel numbers that kept coming through, was step by step. And you're already making these really big changes. You're already making these really big realizations about yourself, but let it cook. Like, stop opening up the oven and checking to see if it's ready. The souffle is gonna like unfluff if you keep doing that. So they're saying to really at this time allow and trust yourself that the steps that you've already taken are unfolding as you speak, as you live, as you breathe, and as you step into your joy more.
That's right. Got to let it bake. You know, sometimes always open that oven too much. And I was telling Nina, I was like, because I actually previewed that before tonight, which I don't usually do. And I used that analogy in a client this morning about baking in the oven. And so we were in sync on that. And, you know, it's true. Like, give yourself time. Like, fuck, you know, marinate. Enjoy the marination process, people. Like, what is the rush? Like, seriously, what is the where are you rushing toward? You rushing to death? That you can't enjoy a process? Because the process is supposed to be enjoyable. If you're enjoying that process, what are you doing? You're focusing on the wrong thing if you don't enjoy the process. If you don't enjoy the process of getting to know someone, then you don't really want a relationship. You want a pacifier. You want validation. You don't want a relationship if you don't want to work and build an interaction with somebody and build a companionship. You just want to be validated. So, you know, ask yourself if you're coming at things from the right way, because that's why you're always peeking it in. It's a need instead of just like enjoying the process of what you're supposed to be engaged with. Thank you, Nita, for that message. Let's get into these questions, and we're just gonna close these down because I'm gonna keep it simple. All right, Kristen, question. Finally gave the family I currently nan for 3 months notice. So once summer ends, I'm done nannying. I'm going to focus on cleaning buildings and writing. Do you see this being a good step? Yes. Yes, I think we said this to, I don't know if we had a reading earlier this year or later or before last year about how like you will be moving on from that and getting into more that creative aspect. So yeah, I think it's a good step for you to, especially because it's creating movement, right? It's creating movement to do something differently that you're not just relying. You're saying, you know what? There's more for me that I'm making the step to do so. So that in itself will open up more doors for you. So yeah, I really think so. That's a good step for you. And I think 3 months time is a perfect timing for that. You know, because when you're putting out to the world, the universe, or just you're saying to yourself, like, I deserve appreciation, and I don't feel appreciated here, so I'm going to go where I can be appreciated, or at least take control. Guess what happens? You'll render and attract more appreciation from different circumstances. So yes, I think that's a good thing. I think it's good to move forward in that direction and start. Now it's time to. If you're not going to do it now, then when will you? Right? Now is a perfect time to do so while you have it in you. So yeah, it feels good. It doesn't feel like you're jumping the gun on it. So good. Keep going with that as my cards fall on the floor. Yeah, because, and I feel like, you know, when you really focus on your writing and focus on that expression, like that also will, you know, be able to expand more and to give you direction of where to utilize that. You know, and being self-sufficient with your own career, you know, so, okay, Sydney, can you see a timeline for us securing a house? Our move date is end of June. Saw a house that I loved, felt great on Wildwood, but it's on the opposite side of town. Thank you. So what? Who cares on the opposite side of town? If you like the house on the opposite side of town, oh well. You know, yeah, to me, I feel like that house is, who cares if it's on the other side of town? I would say just overlook that part of it. If you can, right? But obviously, I do see you moving out when you need to by the end of June. I do see the move out date being on time, but I think that again, for example, when I was in Palm Springs, like I was close to everything. Like I was like, the grocery store was 2 blocks away. Here, my grocery store is a little further, but to me, it's worth it because I love the home, I love the neighborhood, and I like driving around my neighborhood, and so it's pleasurable. So there are things that might be, you might sacrifice in that sense of convenience that actually makes everything else better, and therefore the convenience part isn't bad. So it's almost like I'm saying reconsider. I don't know if I really care for the area of town you're in currently. I actually like that area of town better, So I would consider that home. I would consider it, but I do find like everything will work out fine, by June, the end of June, and when you're trying to move, I do feel like you'll have everything, planned and prepared for that. But girl, you better get going. You got 30 days notice to give, right? But you'll find it. But I'd consider the other side of town. Who cares? It's on the other side of town. Yeah, that's what I feel on it. All right. But I'm going to say this too, Sydney. Like, you're going to be like wishy-washy about everything. Yeah, but you're going to always do that. Okay? So, no. So no, don't do it. Oh, don't keep doing that. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and just announce that readings have been closed. We closed down readings. If you can, just let people know this because I'm committed to keeping it a short night. I'm dedicated to that. And June bookings are open, so I'm ready if you guys want to. I'm trying to log into my PayPal to see who's also paid there. So give me a second, my lovelies. Oh my god, I can't stand tech. The tech has been so irritating me this week, like crazy. A lot of things. One moment, un momento. Even yesterday's LOL was like cray cray. All right, we have a wonderful message from Beth L. We love being part of Beth L's story, so thank you, Beth. So Beth's question is, hi, Scott. I'm starting to fall in love with the man that has been taking me out. Does he want me for long term? It's interesting, Beth. Yeah, this is the different one, right? This is the one for me that kind of like, he's had some dabbles with things, but I feel like he's more sincere. He feels more sincere to me. I don't know if I could say long term, because that doesn't mean if I don't say long term doesn't mean it won't go there. I don't know. He's just kind of, I feel like he's taking it as it comes, right? I feel like he's day to day, the next step, and interested in kind of seeing more. Like that's what I feel. So I would take that step to step two. It has a potential to be, but I can't tell only because he's taking it moment to moment, and I think you should too. And this is probably the first one I feel it isn't so cray cray. Actually, this one feels kind of normal. Are there some oddities? Of course. I mean, everyone has oddities. We all do. But I definitely think, yes, that this has a potential. And I think he wants to learn more. He wants to kind of get to know you more. So that's good. Finally. After all those cray-crays. I mean, we're sad that we won't hear some crazy questions and the crazy people to read, but it's also a good thing for you because I feel like it does feel like it's more legitimate, more sincere. So I think that's good. Small token to show my thank you, Lucy. That's very sweet. 1111 tip. That's sweet of you. Thank you so much. Geminis rule. Geminis do rule. I'm not a Gemini. My mom's a Gemini. I'm Aquarius. I'm Aquarius of Virgo rising. So I don't know if you're just saying because you're a Gemini. Geminis rule. Geminis do rule. That's my mom. So she's a Gemini. Gemini women in particular. Gemini men could be all over the place, but Gemini women are definitely different. So, but thank you for that token of appreciation. I appreciate your token of appreciation. Okay, last two are card pulls, and y'all know Okay. Yes. Actually, I do questions first. So, Elisa, the questions I will get out of the way. Foist. Hi, Elisa. My YouTube is Aquilapan. My dad and partner both wound up in the hospital a week ago. Your dad and partner. Okay. Rita had a complication with a surgery, and dad went to the hospital 24 hours after she went in. Dad and partner. Okay, your dad and his dad's partner. Okay, I assume that's Rita. They seem to be better, but very concerned. Any insights? No. I mean, it's one of those kind of like stint type of things, you know. And I feel like, you know, people who are connected tend to like do the same thing. I think my parents kind of do the same. One time my dad slipped when he was hiking, and my mom slipped shortly after. So sometimes people follow and mirror each other. So no, it feels like it's just a little like non-serious stint, you know. Your dad might have had issues like respiratory, breathing wise or something too. And I feel like lightheadedness, but he also might have been dehydrated or something too, you know. So this just sounds like your dad might have a stint with like dehydration. I feel like he couldn't breathe and got lightheaded and all that stuff. So there might have been something of that nature too. So your dad might need to like hydrate himself. Make sure you're staying hydrated. Yeah, and I feel like kind of, and he had a stint, and then she had a stint, or whatever the case is. So it feels like just one of those things, you know. Yeah, digestive issues, but to me, it feels like something was causing him like to short of breath. I feel like, you know, so the digestive issues could have been because he was not hydrated enough to really process, you know, because I feel like that's an issue, and that could have caused like tightness to where he couldn't breathe, you know. Also something here, the esophageal thing, right? So it could have been like you know, what do you call that, the acid reflux too, like tight in the chest with your dad. So but I just feel like that's more him taking care of himself and changing his, you know, dietary habits in a sense, you know. You said, okay, yeah, but this is something he's got to like just maintain after the fact, you know. But let me see, Rita. What are you saying? Oh, so Rita, you had a blood infection, pancreatic attack. I heard that's not uncommon for her. I heard like flare up on this. But again, it just feels like a little stint. I don't feel like this is like she's going to continue on with this thing, you know. So recovery. They just focus on recovery. I would feel, because I feel like they're fine now. Like things are okay now. It's not like a stint that's gonna, you know. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, they're good. They're fine. You know, it's, again, we get older. My mom says, you get older, sometimes things just happen. Right? They're not knocking on death's door, you know, or anything of that nature. I also feel, Rita, like there was a flare up, but also it was a lot of it's precautionary too. You know what I mean? Like they're like, okay, this happened. Like it's not so extreme, but like, okay, let's treat this and, you know, weather this out. You know what I mean? So no, it doesn't feel like they're knocking on death's door right now. You know, but we'll keep it like that sense. I don't know what's gonna happen 1 year, 2 year, whatever. But right now, no, they're cool on that. My mom always says, when you get older, sometimes things just happen, go away, you know? And so I'm assuming that will intensify as you get older. So sometimes, you know, it feels like one of those situations. But make sure your dad is, you know, focusing on keeping himself hydrated and removing the acidic aspects out of his diet, because I just feel, again, this clenching here in the esophageal and this acid, and then it can't breathe and all that. That to me is more because the acidicness and the lack of hydration. And of course that can affect the digestive system. So, okay. All right. Card pull for Kathleen. And then we have one more after this, and then we are done. And we actually have a new sound bath from Lafayette too. we're kind of back to the old rhythm of the Cruciverse. Somewhat, kinda. Okay. Okay, newbie. I think this is emotional. I'm probably gonna like card pull is gonna kind of might be going in the wayside. I need to be used like my psychic skills, not so much tarot skills anymore. So at some point, I think we're going to be doing no more card pulls. I'm going to replace it with something else because it's requiring me to like explain more than just a question. So just FYI, y'all know that I'm going to be done with card pulls shortly, and I'm going to maybe brainstorm and see what I can replace that with, or just keep it with questions in that sense because it pulls more. But any hoot, or I'll just like flip the pricing of it, whatever, because I feel like I spend more time on a card pull than I do with questions. And they're simple. You all ain't coming with a question, so I'm just coming, hey, keep it simple, right? But the Fool card is new beginnings, but there's also loss. So I don't know if there's like a loss that you're dealing with, or there might be a loss that's on its way, or in that sense that you'll have to do. But I feel like it's also a new start, new chapter too. And to spend more time in nature, they're saying, to get yourself out and about more in nature and allow it to be your refuge. So the loss doesn't feel significant. It feels, expected, or it feels, I don't know, something that's like expected or anticipated. It could be a family member that's sick that, that's okay. That's an older family member that's like, it's anticipated, but I feel like it's like also a new beginning for you too. So it's like kind of when someone passes, it's a new beginning for you, and to not stay in this loss energy either. Like start new, move forward. Okay. All right. That's how short and simple card pull should be. I would say I put too much emphasis in it, and I can't seem to check myself on it. And then the last is a card pull for Chelsea, of course. I'm gonna let the cards speak. I'm not. Again, it's a random card pull. The cards will say whatever it's saying, whatever they say. Iggy. Bye. Gotta find something else. I'm not. I feel like I'm. I don't need to do tarot. I can do something else. I'll probably just stick with questions. Maybe I'll do like one question, $15, right? This is a simple message too, and I'm just gonna say the card's saying 10 of Wands. It's about competitive energy. Excuse me, 5 of Wands. No, I said 6, 5. 5 of Wands. It's a competitive energy. So, you want to make sure you're maintaining your direction, your focus through competitive energy, through competitive ideas. And the Wheel of Fortune is also like a kind of a new chapter beginning, a new chapter starting. So make sure that you actually are remaining diligent. You're remaining very, emotionally and intellectually agile in order to be able to focus and start this new chapter. So it feels like a change is coming, but also, you want to be balancing out feeling trapped in your relationship. This is all about being trapped. This is a relationship, a partnership. Make sure you're taking advantage of what the relationship offers for you so that you can actually allow this new chapter to push you forward. And so almost like settling that trapped feeling. So whatever competitive ideas or mismatch of energy is happening right now, stay diligent through it, they're saying. The cards are saying. Okay, because the new chapter is like right on the other side of it. Reminds me of this kind of that meme that we see of the miner. Like it has 2 miners and one just like keeps going, one gives up, and then they give up right before the next dig, and there's the gold, right? And the other one keeps going, and it's right there. So think about that. And I like that new chapter, new beginnings too. So perhaps you're on the brink of something opening, a door opening in that sense. So. All right. As a psychic medium, I feel like sometimes it's always a card pulls. I'm like, I'm a psychic medium. Like, just ask me a freaking question. Let me be the oracle. So I'll find something to replace that. Maybe I'll do like word of the day. You know, so instead like carpal, it's like, what's your word of the day? What's your phrase? Like almost like a virtual fortune cookie. I'll do it that's what I'll probably do. You know, da 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 da. Like it's a phrase of the day, and I think that's what I'll do when it comes to that. Because I feel like I'm giving less energy to the questions, which costs more than a card pull. I'm like, so I'm gonna do that phrase of the day, motivation of the day, or insights of the day. Bam! I'll do something like that. I think it'd be more fun and take the load off of those questions, especially those who do it frequently. This way you can get like a nice glimpse every day, every week. 'Cause sometimes things don't change every week either, But yeah, what's your virtual fortune cookie? But maybe I'll call it fortune something else, What's your fortune soundbite or sound cookie or something? I don't know. I'll do that, and I'll create a little phrase. I think that'd be more fun because I don't know. They get so exhausting. I don't know why for no reason. It's not your guys' fault. It's my fault because I feel like I have to explain too much. So I have to do something where I don't feel like I have to explain too much because I'm like, oh, but this card here, but this says this, so I have to go here and then go there, and I don't just pull one card. I pull like 5, and that's my fault, not your fault. But I'll do something more fun for you guys who want to like have just to make a motivation of the week type of thing, individually for you, right? Okay, so before we close up, here's a wonderful new sound bath from Lafayette. Let's enjoy this. Take some 5-6 minutes out of your time and let's unwind, everybody. That's so peaceful and relaxing. We all need moments of that in our lives, right? How much are you guys allowing yourselves to just take a moment of peace? How much peace are you giving yourselves, right? And so we got to find that balance. Chaos can be fun. Chaos can be exhilarating. Chaos can be saturating. But we got to have another side to that too. As much as we are chaotic, we also have to find the order and peace too. So making sure you're finding that balance, guys. I love you all. And I'm ending it now because I was doing pretty good. I'll keep it quick. If you haven't checked out last night's episode, because I keep forgetting. I'm so used to saying last week's because usually LOL used to be on Fridays. Now it's on Wednesday night. So check out the replay. It's on my channel. It's on the Leading Out Loud channel too. And we talked about fears, phobias, and freakouts. And so we got into like kind of the essence of like the different variables of such. And so I think we had a good conversation about that. How to guide through when you have an anxiety or fear about things, or just phobias or freakouts that you can't explain and where they come from. So tune into last night's show. It's a great one. And catch me next week again. And if you want to book a one-on-one personal session with me, now my personal sessions are different. They're more intense. They're more in depth, right? We get into so many different aspects in a personal one-on-one read. And I do also like to use tarot in my one-on-one sessions because it's like it's confirming. Like I'll give a message and like somewhere midway through, I'll just like, no, Spirit, somebody pull some cards and boom, I lay them out. Like it confirms too. So, and those sessions are great. But there's a lot to read with those. That's, with card pulls, it could be it's not so quick unless I'm just pulling one, right? So we get so much more information in that session, depending what you need. Sometimes people come to you, just need someone to talk to. I've had that, or people just need to like filter things through or work things through. So depending on your circumstances. And so there's life readings I offer, intuition builder sessions, which help you to tap into your own abilities as well at your level, because I have to read the level that you're at with it and how to go from there personally. And also mediumship sessions and connecting with those who've crossed over. So I just opened up June. So I think the first week of June is already booked out. So get your sessions in. And I will see you, of course, scottcruzpm.com. And I'll roll the commercial upon close, a long commercial with those testimonials, because I know you guys still like to chat. So that's why I run that long commercial at the end. Especially for those who are just stopping for the first time. They can just see that too. Why not? So remember, guys, you are all the gods and goddesses of your own myth. I love you all. Thank you for stopping by. I will see you next week. Much love, guys. Good night.
I just want to say thank you, Scott, for all of your reassurance and guidance. I had a mediumship reading and you brought my uncle and my mother-in-law forward. And I mean, there was things that you said that nobody would know. Like, it was so accurate. It was insane. And I appreciate the closure that I got and the peace that I felt. And I really appreciate even more that you are a genuine person who truly cares. That made the biggest difference for me. Thank you, Scott.
Hey, I just wanted to take a minute to thank Scott Cruz. He made such a huge difference in my grief. I'm a little bit emotional because he just said things about my husband and my papa that there's no way anybody could have known or guessed. I know my children were skeptical. Scott told me they would visit me, and they both are together, and they have both visited me together. He told me things about my grandchildren, nicknames. There's nothing he could have known beforehand. So I definitely appreciate him, and if you're having any issues, struggling through grief and needing some guidance or just needing to feel okay, talk to Scott.
Hey there, my name is Chad, and over the past 6 or 7 years, I've probably had about 4 or 5 readings with Scott Cruz. He brought up personal things that I don't know how nobody else would know but me, and he brought them up, which was just incredible. And one thing I will say is Scott tends to talk fast, so take notes. I've taken notes since the very beginning because sometimes they don't make sense. He'd said something, it didn't make sense to me. And then a year and a half later, after I had spoken to someone and I reread those notes, I was like, oh wow, Scott nailed it back then. Didn't make sense then, but it made sense as time passed. I was able to find something out. It was just incredible. And the last thing is what I like about Scott is he doesn't seek out fame or fortune from this. He genuinely wants to help people. I thoroughly recommend an appointment with Scott. Go ahead and book it. You won't be disappointed.
Scott Cruz is popularly known for his life-changing one-on-one readings to also guide in your soul ascension journey. With life readings, get insight into your relationships, career, health, trauma healings, past life regressions, and more. Want to connect with a loved one who's transitioned? Scott's mediumship session can be the gateway to you and your loved ones in spirit, bridging the gap between the physical and the spiritual realm. If you want to enhance your own psychic ability, Scott's Intuition Builder session can help expand your psychic and mediumship abilities. So sign on to scottcruzepm.com to book your own personal session today.